All right, so Milton Campis, here we go. The head of Jiu-Jitsu Dummy podcast. You do a bunch of stuff. You have Academy Safe.
Yeah, we got.
You have black belt marketing. Also a black belt, right?
I'm a black belt 1 year. December is December one? December was 1 year. This past December was 1 year at black belt.
How's it feel, that black belt?
It feels good, man. It's like you have all these expectations maybe of like what it's going to be. Nothing really changes. You know, I think maybe the only thing that changes is, or I guess what people were right about was like, oh, the journey really begins here.
Right.
Because definitely at the school that I'm at now, they love for black belts to coach. So it's just like, hey, who's got to move? You know, it's like Thursdays, I'm usually showing at least one move before we roll. So the first hour is, you know, warm-ups and instruction. So like that is really cool. I love teaching. So the fact that I'm at a school now that embraces that with all of its black belts is nice. So that whole like, this is where the journey really begins. It's like learning how to coach at a black belt level. I coached a little bit at my first school when I was like white and blue. Yeah. But that was because I was like the coach's first student. We had all newbies, so everybody knew way less than me.
Right.
He was a cop. He was actually a DHS officer. Okay. And he did internal affairs. So like sometimes he was on like stakeouts and things like that. Right. So
that's pretty cool.
I had to open. Yeah. I'm a white belt opening this guy's gym, and then I got my black belt, my blue belt in like 6 months. Yeah. I was training like every day, 2 hours, 6 days a week. Like me and a black belt, sometimes it was just me and him. So it's like, I got my blue belt after double golding at a new breed, but I double golded, and he was just like, yeah.
You don't have to say it like that. I guess I'll count it as valid, bro.
No, but it's 11 years ago when new breed first started. It's way different than it is now. I walked into a new breed now, and I'm like, wow, this is like
That's a good point.
I went, it was just like, there was nobody my age. I was, you know, I started jiu-jitsu at 41, so I was fighting like 26 and unders. All white belts, double gold. So like it was an achievement, but it was just like, it was new breed back in the day. Yeah. And no new breed's a lot better. So
that's a lot tougher now than you fought 26-year-olds. That's a lot tougher. Sounds a lot tougher.
Man,
maybe the organization was off.
I mean, back then it was. I mean, like I never competed in IBJJF. Okay. But if you go to an IBJJF, they're not taking people that are, you know, 20 years older than you and putting them in, right? So that just doesn't happen. New breed was kind of, like, I mean, it's happened every time I competed at new breed where it was just like, nobody my age is ever there. Yeah. You know, so it's just like they always, I stopped at purple, but I did white, blue, and my commitment to myself was I was going to compete at every belt level at least once. Yeah. So I did it up to purple. You know, we talked about I had a heart attack. Yeah. I did one competition at purple after I had the heart attack, and then I was just like, man, I was just like, I can't do this. Especially because again, I was never fighting anybody that was my age. It was always people younger. Yeah. And I was like, I could take these guys. I'm training with guys half my age all the time. Right. And then after the heart attack, I was just like, oh, this is just it was just different. My cardio was way off. And then I just never competed.
How long after the heart attack was it that you were competing?
It was probably within that first year. I want to say like 6-9 months after the heart attack.
That sounds kind of soon to me.
You know, well, I mean,
you said like a year, right?
You know, when I say heart attack, it was a heart attack. It was called a non-STEMI heart attack. I was 80% blocked on my main artery. But when I say it wasn't like I passed out on the floor and I was getting revived. It was just like, you know, my wife was like, I told her, I was like, man, I feel like somebody's sitting on my chest. Happened one Friday night after training. Then it happened again in the morning, and she convinced me to go to the hospital. So it wasn't like this, like, oh, I was passed out and I'm revived, and now I have all these heart issues. Or, you know, if I would have continued to let it go, you lose, from the way I understand it, you lose heart muscle. Yeah. And I'm back to normal. So like I'm good. I'm normal.
So you caught it early-esque.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was having a heart attack. Your heart is choking, you know, it's just like it can't get oxygen through to where it needs to go. And from the way I understand it, again, the way the doctors explained it to me, is just like, you know, your heart was fighting to get your heart knows how to get the oxygen where it needs to go. Yeah. Other ways, it'll get it through other arteries and veins and things like that. And you know, if anybody that's watching understands it, like I had 4 stents, so 4 stents open up where you had the most plaque.
Yeah, I've never heard of that quantity before.
So when I tell people 4 stents, they're like, holy shit, that's a lot. Because it's not just like one thing. So like the main artery has 2 stents, And again, I'm explaining it the way I understand it, and like, you know, I never really like dug into it. I'm like, I'm fine, let's go. You know, I just moved on. I didn't get like, I didn't get obsessed with doing research about it. I was
which is probably better because you got it in your head with all that shit.
Food I was concerned about in the beginning, and now I'm just kind of like back to normal. I eat relatively healthy, but 2 stents on the main artery, right? So like when they remove the plaque, the artery, I believe, can collapse on itself, right? Because the artery's been holding it open. Right. So you got to take the plaque out and then put something in there to hold the artery open. Right. So the main artery was 2 stents. I got 3 stents the first day. That like Saturday morning, rush it to the hospital. Right. I go to the hospital that was local to us, and then Broward Health keeps you in their system, and then sent me to Fort Lauderdale from Coral Springs to their cardiac unit, which is supposed to be one of the best units in Florida. So that was a good thing. Yeah. 3 stents the first day, 1 stent the following day. They went back in like, we're going to check, make sure we got everything. Right. And they put 1 more stent in.
Oh, so you got that all done in purple belt, so that's good, man.
So I mean, after that, I mean, it was definitely, clearly, I affected my cardio. Like for a really long time, I didn't feel like I got my cardio back. Yeah. Part of it was immediately when I started training like 3 weeks after this. I got back on the mat 3 weeks after it.
I'm not a doctor, but
my heart, I would, again, part of it could have been just in my head. Yeah. But when I trained, especially when I rolled, I could feel my heart beating faster, quicker. Yeah. And you know those times where you're just sitting around and all of a sudden like you kind of feel your body beating for whatever you did something, or maybe all of a sudden you're like, wow, I feel like I can feel the blood pulsating through your body. Imagine that, like I feel my heart. I felt like my whole body beating almost, you know. So it was kind of like, is this uncomfortable? Is this normal? What do I do?
The psyche of it was
so definitely I got in my own head. And believe it or not, when I was at white belt, I had my coach was like 5'8", 265. Yeah. He's a thick guy. He competed a lot right through brown belt. He got like one of the IBJJF world medals or whatever at something. Yeah, he won something. He had all his medals, on the walls. But he had taught me to like do kind of Lamaze breathing. I was just always a bigger guy. Just like during a roll to control my breathing and to keep my heart rate down. So I would just do the like, yeah. And it's just like, I'd be rolling with people and I'd be doing that. They'd be like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm fine. Even before the heart attack, he taught me how to do this. So I always did it. Even like, especially after, I was like, man, that was a hard roll. And I'm like, breathing. Yeah. I could do that and get my heart rate down really quick and then go right into my next roll.
That's good that you got that kind of sense of learning how to breathe with before. I mean, you had it before when you really dialed it in was after that heart attack. So that's good that you kind of noticed the importance of it.
When I had the heart, then I was just like, I was really like, I thought I had my glasses on for a second. I've used it. I've used it and I still use it to this day. Sometimes I'm like, man, that was a hard roll. I'm like, somebody's like, hey, you want to roll? And I'll just be there going.
Yeah. Kind of like that seal breathing, the box. I don't know if you know about that.
No.
I think you have to breathe for 4 minutes and hold your breath for 4 minutes. 4 minutes. I'm so sorry. 4
minutes. I'm gonna die in 4 minutes.
Listen, that's not a technique at all. No. It's like 4 or 10 seconds. I don't know. You breathe for 4 or 10 seconds and you hold your breath for 4 or 10 seconds. Okay. And then you let it out for 10 seconds. It's something I might be badgering it, but it's some sort of breathing that helps you kind of control your emotions in a moment. Okay. And it's like you're imagining a box. Okay. It's called box breathing.
All right. Yeah. Never heard of that, but the Lamaze definitely like helped me. Like again, I call it Lamaze breathing. I mean, I know that there's so much more to that. I'm not doing it justice.
That's how you remember it.
Nobody's yelling push after that. I get that part, but yeah, I mean that definitely helped me. Again, it helps me to this day. But my cardio is way better now. And then just like after training this long, like. I also know how to not put myself into the position where I'm like, in the middle of a roll, right? I do a lot of gi jiu-jitsu, mostly gi jiu-jitsu. So, I hold somebody or, you could stall, catch your breath. Right. I call it stalling, but, I might get somebody into position where, either I'm on top or even from the bottom where I'm like, all right, I could take a second here. Yeah. Again, and I might do a little of the breathing right there, But I'm good. It doesn't affect me. Other than, I take a statin at night. Yeah. And I got to take a baby aspirin every day as it relates to the heart. Other than that, I don't even think about it.
That's good.
I mean, I talk about it because I think it's relevant when we're talking about sports and jiu-jitsu and health. Yeah. I don't think about it.
That's good,
Maybe it's part of my decision making when I'm eating, a little bit here and there. But
that's where it probably should be, man, when you're eating something. Yeah. That's for sure. But so you did that at purple belt, and that's when you stopped competing after that initial one?
Stop competing. I did all new breeds because it was local. Because I'm in Coral Springs. I've lived in Coral Springs for a really long time. New breed comes to the Coral Springs Gymnasium all the time. Yeah. I'm like, it's right here. How could? There's no excuse to not go to this one right here.
Right.
So I would go, and I had hoped to maybe do IBJJF later. And I just just kind of never did it. It for me, again, starting jiu-jitsu right before my 41st birthday, and then telling my coach I wanted to compete, his eyes popped out of his head. He's just like, all right. He's like, let's do it. He goes, but now training is going to be completely different. We hadn't trained for points and trained with considering points and
which is holding here for 3 seconds.
Yeah, so we started to get into a more of a okay, we're going to do competition training, and I'm going to teach you. And he competed, so he was happy to do it, but surprised that I made this. Like I said, I want to compete.
Well, I can imagine how many people back then is it was 2011, it's not that right? 2011.
What's that?
When you started jiu-jitsu, 2011.
So this June is 12 years.
12 years.
So, is that 13?
Yeah, around there. 13? So, and back then there was probably a lot of people that were competing, at 41, especially in jiu-jitsu. Now the community is a lot bigger. It's different.
I remember I had a blue belt. At blue belt. There was one guy. It was the only time I fought in gi, where I fought.
Oh, so you did mostly no gi.
I did. If I did new breed, I did both. Except my purple belt, I only did gi because I also knew I'm coming back after a heart attack. I don't know if I want to do both.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So at purple, I only did gi. My last, I think I competed twice at blue belt, 2 different competitions at blue belt. At blue belt, I fought a guy that was he was over 40. We were both over 40. But his coach wanted to see my ID. He didn't believe that I was over 40 because this guy came in gray hair, bald spot, not in the best shape. And the coach was was a kid, he was way younger. The kid had to be in his 20, maybe 25, 26. And he approached me. He's just like, how old are you? And I was like, I think the new breeds were December, and I think they come back in June.
Yeah.
So I remember it was around my birthday, and I was just something along the lines of either I just had a birthday, or I was about to have a birthday, and whatever my age was, I was I'm about to be this, and he was just like, let me see your license. And I'm like, no, I'm really, and then he kind of played it off as a joke, but he was like, oh shit, I'm putting my old timer in here with this young kid. Meanwhile, I was older than him. So
yeah, you don't look that old.
Yeah. You hear
41,
that? You hear that? Yeah, say that a little louder. But, just we have an audience member.
You don't look like you're in your 50s.
I'm going to be 52 in a couple of months.
Yeah, I would check your ID too, bro. Sure. I love it. Fucking 50. So you did that, and then you got into bro. I'm kind of curious. I know that you've been doing jiu-jitsu obviously for 12 years, and you've been in the community, and you've spoken with people on your podcast, a bunch of people. So I'm kind of curious as to why, everybody has a reason, I guess, to start a podcast. Sure. I have my reason, you have your reason. I'm interested in your reason of starting it. I know we talked about it a little bit before the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies episode.
Yeah. It wasn't for money.
Yeah.
It wasn't about trying to be famous or being rogue. I barely listened to podcasts at the time. I maybe listened to Rogan because I was a UFC fan.
Yeah.
None of that played in. I remember the day that, I couldn't tell you the exact date, but I remember I went to Sicilian Oven in Coral Springs with 2 of my training partners. Yeah. We had pizza and beers.
All the best ideas come from pizza and beers.
Right. Junior and Mauricio, I'm still friends with both of them. I don't train with them anymore, but still friends with them. And Junior I think he had his black belt by that point. He might have still been a brown, just about to get his black belt. But he was there for the Popovich days. Wagner actually gave him his black belt at Popovich's.
Wow.
Excuse me, his purple belt.
Yeah.
Wagner tied his purple belt on, and he always remembered that. And when I got to interview Wagner, I don't know if I think he was there, and he was like, Wagner, you gave me my purple belt. He's like, oh wow, I didn't. He remembered him from that day, But I think Wagner was already probably a black belt. They called them the Avengers. You know what? They called them.
Yeah, I remember
that whole crew. That what is now the Fight Sports and VRMA, right? Those guys were called they would go to tournaments and they called them the Avengers.
Yeah. I remember that time.
But
Popovich, wow.
He knew about that world, and he knew, the stories, and then the stuff that happened with Popovich and him messing around with the student's wife. I don't know if he was there to the very end, but he was there. So we'd be sitting down, like, I was probably a purple belt at the time. And I think Mauricio, my friend, he was like a white or blue. And we would just be like this, listening to the stories, man. It was just these great stories. It was just like, and I left one of those and I said, that's a podcast right there, man. Like white belts need to hear this, like hear the craziness and the stories and the good stuff and the bad. And, even again, the Popovich thing had happened and, fast forward so many years later now, Academy Safe and, things that happened at my gym with coaches messing around with married women.
Gyms,
yeah. I mean, it's just crazy, but it was I left and that I said that, I don't know if I said it out loud to them, but I know I said it out loud to myself. At least I was just like, that's a freaking podcast right there, man. Like people, and I even remember thinking like white belts need to hear this because our first description, it's probably still out there on the podcast, was like the podcast that every white belt should listen to or something like that. Or like I referenced that, the podcast you wish you had when you were a white belt.
That's a good
something like that was our original, was the tag, and it was the truth. It was just like, it's also why I named it Jiu-Jitsu Dummies. It was just like, I'm the dummy. Teach me. I want to learn. I want to hear your stories. I want to know what's going on in this world. I want to know about moves. I want to know about this, that, the other thing.
Yeah.
And me and my wife, we were out at dinner, and I remember Bonefish Grill. I remember
Bonefish
that.
Grill.
And I mentioned to her,
you remember the restaurant?
Because this was like a moment that this happened.
Yeah.
Which was, I mentioned it. I told her, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to do this, because already I was so busy with work. I had the black belt digital marketing wasn't around. The Academy Safe wasn't around.
9 to 5 type of job.
I had a regular marketing job. I had my marketing company, closed that marketing company and went to work for a bigger marketing company. Brought my book of business with me.
Yeah.
So things were good. I always had, so she knew me when I had the business and knew me that I was doing better working for somebody else. And I'm like, I'm going to have to tell her and get her to buy into this. Like, she's got to I got to tell her that I want to do this. And I said, we're at dinner and I said, listen, I got this crazy idea. I said, I'm thinking about doing a podcast. And I think before I even got the word, she goes, oh, there's somebody that films a podcast in my office. You could do it there. And I was just like, boom. That was it. She was like, yeah, do it here. Yeah. Well, you could do that and do it here. I also think, I'm looking at her reflection over there. I don't know if she's tuned into us or not, but I also don't think that neither one of us probably realized that the time that was going to take, and the fact that it took off it took off pretty quickly compared to what the numbers, at least what I saw for other people. It took off right away, and I think a lot of it was like what we did in the lead up to even doing our first episode. We were like promoting, like we had been around. We were giving stuff away. I had a logo with T-shirts. We were doing giveaways. I had sponsors that were helping us give away. We hadn't even recorded yet. People were messaging like, "Hey, where can I listen to this?" And I was just like, "We're recording our first episode this." So I explained it to her as like the trailer to the movie. Like we did a good trailer to the movie. We were giving stuff away. We were talking like we were already out. But that was the buy. And when she did that, then that's okay, I could do this.
Yeah, it's very important to have your spouse or your significant other kind of into your projects. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Again, I don't think she realized how it was going to take off. So, most podcasts, look it up, ChatGPT it. I think most podcasts go like 12 episodes. Mm-hmm. So if you can pass that 12 episode mark, what are you at? Yeah, I know you're way more than 8. If you can pass that and then, and figure out okay, how to monetize it and what's going to work. And when people ask me about starting a podcast, I've said the same thing all the time. Don't do a podcast. But if you're not going to listen to me, I'm going to tell you everything that I did, all the things I did wrong and all the things I do right. Because if you're that driven to do it, I also usually ask right there when I'm saying that, oh, you want to do a podcast? Why?
Yeah.
Are you looking for fame?
Right.
Fortune? Or you have something that you want to give back?
Right.
And there's no wrong answer.
Right.
But if you want fame and fortune, you better have some money.
Right.
You better have some money to put behind it, because this isn't going to just take off organically.
Yeah.
I don't care how good you are. There are famous people that do, in the jiu-jitsu world, that do podcasts that don't do great numbers, that are just like, well, I would have expected a little bit more from that guy's numbers, right?
Like a personality.
Yeah. Well, what are you in it for?
Right.
And then, again, is it fame? Is it fortune? Or is it just a passion?
Dude, it's got to be weird if you're going into a podcast, especially in the jiu-jitsu realm, thinking, oh, I want to be famous. You know what I mean? I want to make millions of dollars on this podcast. And it's like, if you're in the jiu-jitsu community, right? And even then, starting a podcast, you know how many podcasts there are?
Yes.
Bro, there's a lot. It's a fuck lot of podcasts.
There are a lot.
Like you're thinking about fame and fortunes, you're going in wild, bro.
So, but again, I don't think that there's a wrong. I think maybe the fame is probably, if there's a wrong answer in the mix.
Yeah.
It's probably not the best reason I want to be famous. It's probably not the best reason to do a podcast. Right. Hey, look, I have something to say and I think I could make some money, or I have a good personality and I think I can make some money. I'm down with that. I think that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I went into it with no intention of making money. As a matter of fact, I even, again, part of the conversations I had with the co-hosts and even with my wife was, I'm not asking anybody for a dime for a year. I'm not asking one sponsor for any money, but I am going to ask them to give stuff away. And I am going to ask them to give stuff away. And what made it even better for them was, I'm going to have you send it to them. So, you're not sending it to me. Right. Some people did. And then I was just like, now I got to ship it out. And you don't get the customer or the listener into your marketing stream, right? Into your funnel. So I was like, wait, don't send, if you want to send me stuff to test, great. I'm going to keep that and give it out to my people here. Because in the beginning, it was me and 4 other people. Right. It was a true round table of people that I trained with, and we just started out talking, and then we started inviting people. But with the sponsors, it was get them through the door by telling you give away, and you'll give stuff away, but you're going to give it directly to them. Right. So you're going to get their name, email, phone number. I'm going to introduce you to them. You can give them a coupon code to order from your site, or you can get their information, but add them to your system, to your e-commerce site or to your funnel, whatever you would call it. Right. And now you have a client. Now you gave them something, but they're probably going to come back and order. They're likely to order. They're going to get emails from you.
Yeah, you're thinking more about the vendor relationship with the client than
I had my marketing hat on for that one. Like I would want their name, email, phone number, what they ordered, what they like, when their birthday is, send them the happy birthday coupon code, like things like that.
Definitely had the marketing hat on.
So I said, wait, no, don't send me the stuff. You send it to them because I want you to get the customer. And again, that worked. And so we started in the conversation. It would have been, I think, 2018.
You said
2019.
6 years.
So I'm saying, when was COVID? COVID started like really March 2020, was that?
Yeah, I think so, man. I always get it confused, 2020 or 2022.
We get married on a boat. We get married on a cruise. So that was 2019 into 2020. We come back from that. March is when we go into quarantine. Right. So that was March. April was when the idea was conceived. May is 1 year of the podcast. So March, pandemic. Right. So at 1 year was May. Yeah. And now I go to start asking people for money, same sponsors that would give us product. And it was just like, hey, man, I don't even know if we're going to have a jiu-jitsu world right now. How can,
Yeah, that's true.
What's going to happen? What gyms are closing? I don't know that. So we had a few sponsors. 2 of them started giving us money, said yes right away. And then a few of the other was like, I can keep on doing this and doing trade. And we stay, I never turn down anybody that if I like the product, we'll do it in trade or, but we need money to make the podcast happen, right? So, we wound up getting money and it was good, but it was difficult to get new sponsors and ask them for money. People that didn't know us, they were like, yeah, we've got to hold off right now. The world is falling apart. We think the world is about to end and we can't take on more podcasts. Yeah. So I did, at that 1 year, we did start to get money and then figured out how to ask for money or how to ask sponsors for money. And to this day, we still...
Yeah, you guys are still rolling. You've been around you've seen some of the changes in the industry, and I kind of want to get your opinion on jiu-jitsu right now and how you see it, like the state of the sport, the state of the community.
Sure.
What's your opinions on those? Because you've had a lot of people on, and they all have an independent voice, and you kind of, doing a podcast myself, you kind of get a lot of different perspectives from people. Yeah. So if you could kind of share what your insight is on it, on the sport and on the community.
If you would ask me this question before I started Academy Safe, it would be definitely something different. Because what I'm seeing, hearing, in this, we're like hearing the seedy underbelly of what's going on. Seeing what Rob from McDojo Life, who was our VP on the board for Academy Safe, seeing what he has been seeing for decades. Yeah, it's really crazy. And not that jiu-jitsu is going anywhere specifically, but martial arts as a whole. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you saw like some of the stories that McDojo put out for LeClaire's up in New York.
Yeah.
You know, father got convicted of rape when he was a young man. His son now is like, I think it's like up to 40 people, kids have come out and say that he molested them over the years.
That's a Taekwondo
6 academies.
Right?
Yeah, I believe it's a Taekwondo academy.
And he had a bunch of different schools.
6 schools. And then there's even like another worker that like molested, that has come out that another worker, another coach is molested. So it's like 3 people at the same school, from what I understand. Watch the McDojo video. I haven't finished the whole video, so he did a 1 hour recap on it.
Yeah.
But my take on it before was just doing the podcast. It's like, great, I get to talk to all these cool people, you know? Yeah. And then, my school had, a coach at my school had his, some indiscretions that I don't really even want to go into. My old school, I've been public about it enough that, he's messing around with his students' wives, mothers, girlfriends. Yeah. So I decided to leave. That's post all the stuff that, happened with fight sports. We were a fight sports, so we knew intimately what had gone on in the fight sports world. And so then we go and, he leaves the affiliation and then winds up, he's been doing something just as bad the entire time.
Yeah.
So, starting Academy Safe and like literally people having like messaging like, hey, could I talk to you? I have a story to tell you, or just like,
oh really? So they're coming to tell you stories.
People are asking me to call them. People are asking, just like writing their stories out.
Like who? Like
I got a report.
Victims?
Victims will say like, yeah, I had something happen to me. I like, it usually starts off with, I love what you're doing.
Right.
Thank God somebody's finally doing this, because nobody's been as proactive.
Right.
McDojo, hats off to him. When I say this, I mean like he's been doing the job. He's been reactive. Mm-hmm. He's been telling us about the craziness that's going on, or maybe outing somebody that's got a job. That's been great. Mm-hmm. But can we catch them before? And that's the conversation I had with him. Like, there's something that we could do before this happens.
Yeah.
And I had the idea. I brought it to him, and he said, Milt, he goes, people have been after me to do this for years. I got like, quote unquote, people have been after me to do this for years. I said, I'm one person. I can't do it all. I'm in. What do you need from me?
Right.
And then I had already even started on the logo. I was doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, am I crazy? Am I gonna be able to make an impact? Like, what? He's just like, let's do it.
Right.
He was on board immediately. So again, back to your question is, if you would have asked me this before Academy Safe, I would have just been like, oh, I love jiu-jitsu. It's great. I get to speak to all these people. And now I'm seeing like the underbelly, the dark side of what's going on. And it's like, it's scary.
Yeah.
If I had little kids, I mean, if I put my kids into martial arts, if I had little ones, I would put them in. I would definitely look for an academy that goes through, at least background checks.
Yeah.
Hopefully we would say, we're going to be in a place where people can go to Academy Safe and look up our listings of accredited schools.
Right.
But the main thing is just never leave your kids alone.
No, man, that's such a good point, because you think of the jiu-jitsu community or martial arts community as a whole, and you think automatically like this is a safe place. Like, I never leave my kids anywhere regardless, but I can understand why somebody would be like, oh, I'm going to leave my kid here and go do whatever, because it should be a safe space for you to be able to have your kids there.
It's the people that are supposed to be teaching us, our wives, our girlfriends, our daughters, our children.
Yeah.
Those people wind up being the worst offenders.
Right.
Like, you're the guy that we came to you to teach them how to protect themselves against you.
Yeah.
Against what you're doing here. So now it's like, there's always going to be martial arts, and we're trying to make martial arts better with Academy Safe. So now I'm like, I believe in it. I love the sport, but man, my eyes open to when I, just relationships in the gym and people saying things, and like my meter is, it's just like that, like a volume meter, right? When somebody speaks, it goes up and down. Like when I see things or I hear things or people call me, I'm just like, my meter goes up and down. I'm like, this is crazy.
So you're getting a lot of messages when you came out with the idea of Academy Safe, which was what, like a year ago?
I started Academy Safe in July. We were launched by November 2024. July 2024. By November 2024, we launched the website.
Yes,
I couldn't have done that without. I own a marketing company, so it was easy for me to be like, everything we needed, we could do.
Yeah.
I had run a small nonprofit before, and I had a seat on another nonprofit, so I knew what needed to be done. So it was just like boom, boom, boom. I could get everything done. The marketing's the hardest part. Building the website's the hardest part, and that's what I do. So it was just like, got my team on it, logo, get the website going, set up all the social media. That was easy. Yeah. That's just like second nature. That's what we do for companies. So that stuff was really quick. And then we had, a waiting list, people signing up on our waiting list in the meantime.
Yeah.
By November, we had the site launched with NBC Sports Engine as our back end,
that's nice.
which does the, the background checks, the safe sport, and the concussion training.
Yeah.
And then we added like 5 other things that we believe an academy should have.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get into. So your idea is to go preventive with whatever with the situation that has.
I also use the word proactive. We want to proactively check. We want to make sure we're being proactive in making sure that they're being proactive. Okay. The coach, the academy.
Yeah. Right? So what's the procedure?
So number one, I'm going to answer that by saying the question that we get a lot is, well, I do this with IBJJF. Yeah. No, you don't.
Yeah.
You have to do, if you're a black belt, you want to get registered as a coach. If you want to get your affiliation, I believe. I don't even think you need it if you just want to register as a black belt. If you're going to register your team, you've got to they do Safe Sport and background check.
Okay.
Safe Sport, do you know what Safe Sport is?
No.
Safe Sport was basically the organization that was born out of what happened with the female gymnastics team.
Oh, okay.
This was the answer to that, where they were going to check on coaches and do background checks.
I think you told me about this before.
Keep the scumbags out, basically. That's what it is. But
that started in gymnastics.
It started for gymnastics, but it covers, basically they're covering all Olympic sports.
Okay.
So if your sport leads to the Olympics, like USA Wrestling uses this system. We have a Secret Service agent on our, you interviewed Joe. We were at lunch after the podcast, and he's like, wrestling does this, and this is who they use. NBC Sports Engine bought NCSI, which is the company that it still shows that they're integrated with NCSI, but everybody's going to probably be moved over to NBC Sports Engine at some point.
Yeah.
But he shows me his. As a matter of fact, he opens it up, he shows it to me on his phone, and he goes, look, this is my background. He's like, oh, I have to redo my background check. Or was it his background check? I think it was. It was time for his renewal.
Yeah.
Because it's 2 years.
Right.
And he was like, oh, I got to do that. And then he went on later that day and he did his background check again.
So that's the infrastructure you guys are using?
So yeah, it's NCSI came before Sports Engine, but now NBC Sports Engine bought it, and that's the back end of when you say I want to list my academy, you go and you click on list my academy, you pick the program, we set it up as packages, so it's $99 for a coach, or an academy owner, and then $75 for each employees. And that goes back to what I was going to say about the IBJJF. When somebody tells me, well, I do this with the IBJJF, I already did Safe Sport. Great, you don't have to do it again. Mm-hmm. You'll tell us the email, it integrates with the system, it talks to Safe Sport and goes, he's got it. It'll tell us when you have to renew and when you have to do your continuing ed. Mm. But it's only the owner, it's only the affiliation. We want every coach, every staff member.
So if you have an affiliation.
IBJJF.
So you have I don't know. I think so, right?
Probably, yeah. If they want to compete, somebody has to have registered. Right?
Yeah. So they have IBJJF. But I'm saying it's like if you're, I don't know, some sort of Gracie affiliate, only the owner of the gym, not the other affiliates, have to have it, right?
So, you have to. So there's usually the affiliation. Whoever is the top of the affiliation, I believe. I'm not an IBJJF guy.
Yeah.
From what I understand, the main affiliate has to be there.
Yeah.
For you to be as an affiliate, the affiliate owner. The main look has to be registered, and then you can register.
Okay.
But if you're going to go register as a black 4-year, I believe it's 4-year school. So even if my school wants to sign up, I'm an affiliate, I'm a 10th Planet location.
Yeah.
I, as the owner of that 10th Planet location, have to register. I have to have a black belt registered, probably the owner.
Right.
You do the Safe Sport and the background check, and now you can have all your students register.
Okay.
But none of your staff members have to do anything.
Right.
So what we're doing differently is we're saying Safe Sport, background check. There is a concussion training that NBC Sports Engine offers as well. We're doing all of martial arts. It's not just jiu-jitsu. So
but either way,
striking disciplines, it's a good thing to have, right?
Yeah, it's a good way to have it.
So you're doing those 3 courses through the platform. You're paying through, it's like our e-commerce site is the Sports Engine.
Right.
And then you can upload your documents and we do everything else there. So the difference is though, you're a front desk girl, over 18, we're only doing adults over 18. Mm-hmm. We're not doing background checks on kids. They won't do background checks on kids. But front desk girl, the guy that drives the van to pick up the kids from the school to bring to the after school program, he's going to be background checked and go through all of these things.
Yeah.
Your coaches, your staff members, your part-timers, your full-timers, we're going through everybody. And that's truly what's going to make the academy safer, right?
Yeah.
Just the coach having it and you didn't check out any of your students. I have had, I'm not going to name names. Right. I've had 2 schools in the last 3 weeks. Both owners came to me and said, hey, I got in trouble because we're looking for like felonies, sexual assault. We're using the same exact criteria as USA Wrestling, by the way. When I spoke to NBC Sports Engine, I said, I want to do it. What are they requiring? We want the same thing.
Right.
So I've had 2 school owners come to me and like, I really want to do safe sport, but I got arrested and went to jail when I was 20, 21. My first question is like, for what?
Yeah.
And they were both like assault, battery. One goes, I don't want to say, I don't want to, he's going to know I'm talking about him, but like there was a racial portion, like thing that was kind of part of it. Like it was a charge, like it was that it was racially motivated because of where the fight happened.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I mean, but that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
We're looking for, do we want people that have had those kind of things? Yeah, sure, you could be rehabilitated.
Right.
But right now, as it stands, you would not get accredited.
Right.
You would not pass the background check. You can't get accredited. We're looking for felonies. Then we're looking for domestic, sexual assault. Right. Those are like the main things.
Yeah.
So we've had 2 people come to me that both said, as an adult, I have a felony on my record. It was assault and battery. It was this, that. They were both like assault-driven felonies. I'm like, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
This is what we're looking out for.
Right.
Yes, you may be great now.
Yeah, they could be the anomaly
but
of
you want, don't you? If you were searching for a school, if you were searching for, let's take it out of jiu-jitsu and martial arts. If you had your daughter, I was a gymnast when I was younger.
Why did you say with that face?
Well, no, because I mean, it's
you were waiting for me to say something.
Because I was just going to use the gymnastics, and I was like, I was actually a gymnast, and this wasn't something that happened when I was a kid, but we had it in school. But then when the school program ended, my parents moved my sister and myself into a gymnastics, like an outside gym, like just like we go to jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this didn't exist then. But if you had a daughter that you were putting into gymnastics, knowing what you know about this world, knowing what you know about gymnastics, like, wouldn't you be asking those questions? Like, hey, are your coach's background check?
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
You'd be asking these questions. So why wouldn't we do it here? And again, to that person specifically that had those felonies, if you were looking for a gymnastics facility to bring your daughter to,
right,
and they said, yes, well, I have felony assault on my record, because we're doing jiu-jitsu, which is we're
right. It's a combat sport.
Does that make it any different? Okay, you can teach little Johnny, but you can't teach little
right,
Jane.
Right.
Well, felony over here for gymnastics bad, but felony over here, assault felony for martial arts. No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I want him to learn from somebody who really knows how to take care of themselves and has been in jail. No, we wouldn't say that. So for both of those people, we've had to tell them, if you come to us and you start the process, we're giving you a listing page and we're showing what you've done and what you haven't done.
Right.
If it comes up and it pops red, we say, if it fails, we're going to put that you failed it.
Right.
And now you're going to have this listing page. So not a bad thing, but we're telling them, like, you're not going to get accredited.
Right.
I could put all your coaches through. I can show that everybody else has passed, but you haven't. We're going to show it, but you're never going to get accredited through us.
Yeah, I mean,
but we're going to put that red flag on your, like, somebody searches for you and finds you on our site.
Yeah,
they're going to see that it's.
You can't make
good.
policy off, like, you can't make a business policy off the individual, right? You got to make policy off the.
One of the guys I know, sweetest guy in the world.
Probably, yeah.
He's like, the only reason I haven't signed up yet is because I wanted to tell you face to face. I have this problem that I had when I was a kid.
Yeah,
and he was. Family man, got 2 or 3 kids, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that they're bad individuals. And there's so many people that would be that get rehabilitated right through the whole process. And
but we are going again. The difference is we want all of the coaches, all of the staff members.
Yeah. Even
if it's the front desk girl, and she doesn't do jiu-jitsu or martial arts. She's interacting with the kids.
Right.
She's interacting with the people. They should have it as well. And for $99 a year for an owner and $75 a year for the coach, in the overall scheme of things, I mean, that's like right. That's like, what do we? South Florida, you're getting charged $150 to $200 for a membership. It's like half of 1 month's membership for the year. And then we're promoting you. We're giving you stickers for the door. We're giving you swag. We're giving you shirts. We're doing things to help you promote us. We promote you. We're putting social media posts out that you're accredited. So we're doing things over the year to make it worth your while. You're going to get back more. I'm even giving them like, here, we created all these social media posts for you.
That's great.
Like that is worth the $99.
Yeah.
So, but again, it does come back to like, yes, we're doing it for everybody. For if there's a coach out there that wanted to come on and the owner isn't doing it, you can come on and get yourself registered. We'll show the academy, show you're a coach, but we're also going to say owner has not gone through the process and either or we'll say what they're missing.
If they've good. Done something. They can take that wherever they go. Let's say they stop teaching there, they open up their school.
If they're a coach and they coach at multiple places, we will start a listing page for each one of those pages and show that they're a coach there. But again, showing that the academy's not accredited, but he's done. So there's certifications and then there's accreditation, right? So you're getting certified for CPR, first aid, AED, right? But we're accrediting you. We've checked all your certifications and we're saying you're accredited.
Yeah.
So like just a difference, I guess, in the nomenclature, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a huge difference between us and anybody else that's doing it. That's like the one thing that we've run into where somebody says, well, I do this with IBJJF. Great. How about your coaches?
Yeah,
how about your staff
the
members?
stuff that matters is everybody that has interaction with the children should have, with anybody really. Anybody that's in the business of teaching jiu-jitsu should have some sort of background check or some sort of safety requirement in order to be able to have, like, it's your business. You want people to be.
The second you're dealing with kids is a different story. The second you're dealing with kids, it is your responsibility
100%,
to be doing at very least a background check on somebody you hire.
Yeah.
You're going to just have a random person that you hired. I mean, businesses do this. Businesses where you're just in the room with other adults are going to do a background check on you.
Even if you're
most job these days,
if you're an accountant.
Yeah, they're just going to do a background. Right? They don't want you stealing money. Like, does anything come up, right? So. This is like, it's so normal. I haven't gotten a lot of pushback. That's like the only pushback. Like, hey, I'm doing this already. I'm like, great. We still have to, for the $99, you're going to get all this stuff. We're going to do the background check no matter what. The Safe Sport carries over as long as you use the same email that you used when you did it wherever else you did it.
Yeah.
We're connected to Safe Sport's website. It'll come back and tell us that you did it. The concussion course is unique to Sports Engine, so you got to do it, even if you did something someplace else. And then can we go over, do we want to talk about the other things?
Yeah, of course,
so I'll go down the list of, hopefully I'll remember everything. So then we want an AED on premises, right? A defibrillator.
Yeah.
We want CPR first aid, and we want you certified on defibrillator, right? So that's
you don't want to have a machine not be able to use it, right?
We're asking that you have video cameras on premises, right? Inside the facility. We're looking at business insurance. Believe it or not, I just had a meeting with somebody that's going to be helping us get insurance for our members.
Through that process? Wait, so
we're just going to put them together, and you got to get your insurance for him if you don't have it. But the funny thing about his insurance is, what we're finding as we're going through this process, it's one of the things that a lot of academies let lapse. You need your insurance to sign off on your lease, and once the lease is signed, especially if it's a multi-year lease, and your landlord isn't asking for it, they let the insurance go. They want to save a couple of bucks. Bad idea. You know about that $49 million lawsuit, right? Guy breaks his neck. Bad idea to be running a facility, especially again with kids, without having insurance. And then the last thing, which is always near and dear to Rob from McDojo's heart, is lineage check. So jiu-jitsu, it's a little bit easier because a lot of people will do beltchecker.com and have their profile there. It's very easy to send pictures of promotions and certificates and things like that.
I just connected it though from Mac Dojo to lineage check. I just got it now.
What's that?
Now I know why it's important to me.
Right. I mean, that's his huge thing is outing fake black belts, right?
Yeah.
So having lineage was just like, it was actually the one thing that, like, he's like, we got to do a lineage check, right? We got to check that out. Okay, great. For jiu-jitsu, again, it's a little easier because we have a platform out there that kind of does it already. But other disciplines, it's a little bit harder. We've had people that are like, I did sambo in Russia. I'm not going to do a Russian accent, but like, sambo.
Oh man, you could.
No, I'll leave I'll leave those for Ben. Did you have Ben on the show? Did he do any impressions or?
Yeah, he did a couple. I don't know if he did. I think he did a Brazilian one. He may have done the Arnold one.
He's fun. He's so
good. He also
good.
talked about his favorite band. That guy is a gem, bro.
He's so funny. But yeah, he does impression. Like he could do every.
Yeah, he's a gem, dude.
He could do Brazil. He does the Brazilian. He does Russian. He's traveled so much that he doesn't, but he does them really well. I won't do him. But like guys that come is like, hey, I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt. I also do sambo when I do this. I have nothing from the sambo world. The sambo world isn't like the jiu-jitsu world. I'm like, well, give us your jiu-jitsu and then give me what you can on sambo, and then we'll list it. We'll say what we have for each discipline instead of just saying one. But if you've got, I'm good enough to get you accredited. We're okay with getting you accredited if you have some type of belt. And then who else in your organization has these belts? Like, does somebody have proof and this and that?
Yeah.
So we're learning kind of like, you're talking about, we're trying to do every discipline, and every discipline has a different way of doing it.
Yeah.
For the most part, like I've gotten like straight up certificates in Chinese, like all Chinese, like we're like, okay, how do we do this? What are we doing here?
You got to do the Google Translate app. Take a picture of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
You do that as a grocery list?
But it's we're learning.
Yeah.
But again, most of those are like, and I also have something for another discipline. Like all of the board, everybody is either a black belt or. Rob is a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. Everybody else, I
but he's a black belt in something else, right?
Belt. What's that?
He's a black belt in something else, I think.
He's a black belt in, and I think in like at least 2 other disciplines.
Yeah.
And he's been, he just had a birthday, so happy birthday to Rob. He's been now like in this industry for like 28 years.
Yeah.
But I think from when he started to now, and then doing this for the last couple of decades, doing McDojo for the last couple of decades. But those are the other 5 criteria. So there's nothing there, even with all 8. And we're about to add there's going to be a number 9. It's going to be signing off on a code of conduct or like a code of ethics, which we're writing right now.
Yeah.
So there'll be a number 9 that'll basically say like, okay, you're doing these things. You have to tell us when you hire a new coach. You have to, even like getting down to being like keeping a like safe and clean academy, right?
That's a good one, man.
We've had some people that have been like, what about making them wash their mats every day? I'm like, we can't. How are we going to be able to prove that? I would love to say that that's also part of the safety. Well, in the code of conduct or code of ethics, like we can kind of state some of those other things. Like, you've done this, you're also got to commit to do these things. Like keep a safe work environment, right? You keep a safe, training environment.
Yeah, cleaning mats is important, dude. That's super important. Not times I got a staff at a bad places.
Yeah.
Sucks.
I've had staff once, and it's not fun.
No, it's not.
Luckily, I've only had it once.
Yeah.
But I've been in places where, like, they're like, literally. So I told this story on like one of the last podcasts. Like, a kid had ringworm. He was like the superstar of the gym, and they just put tape over it.
No, bro.
And you know what? Stupid me was just like, this kid's got ringworm, and I got on the mat and I trained like normal. Like it didn't even like dawn on me like, what am I doing? Like I should say something or leave.
Yeah, get off the mat. You have ringworm or staph, just get off the mat for 2 weeks.
But
I've also heard the stories of like Clorox. They use Clorox to clean the staph. You never heard of that?
No.
Yeah, dude. They have I've seen people with staph infection, and they'll just rub Clorox on it.
And what it does? Does it
I don't
actually do anything?
I don't think so. But
I don't think so.
I don't think it works.
It's just like,
that's
we might as well drink it, right?
Yeah.
Right? We know who said that. Like, let's clean it from the inside out. But going back to those 8 items, just the last thing I'll say about it is that there's nothing on that list that somebody can argue with as not necessary or like, why do you need to? Maybe like people will be like, what does business insurance have to do with, what does that have to do with my academy being safe?
I still think that's very important, bro.
Yeah, right. I got to know that if something happens to my kid, that, hey, what if I can't afford it? Maybe you're in there, you don't have medical coverage. Like, I need to sue your insurance company. I'm not suing you, I'm suing the insurance company.
But it's a jiu-jitsu school. Insurance is necessary. Or anything that you're doing.
It's necessary. There's nobody that can argue any of those points. When it comes to like the AED and the first aid and CPR, I was having a heart attack at training. I left going. Yeah. The Friday night I have a heart attack. I go with my training partners and we go to get acai. And I'm sitting there and honestly, I thought I had to go to the bathroom. That's what it feels like. You feel the pressure. You're like, man, I got to go to the bathroom. I go home, go to the bathroom, take a shower. I'm fine. But I told my wife, I'm like, I feel a little, something's off. I know when something's off, But it's like I feel like somebody's sitting on my chest. And we know what, as jiu-jitsu practitioners, what it's like to have somebody on your chest. Like, you can't breathe. It feels tight. Right. Went to train in the morning to our open mat. Went to train in the morning. Wild, left, went home, same feeling. I'm like, this is off.
But was it consistently there?
No, not consistently there. It went away.
Okay.
Come back in the morning, same thing, go home. I'm sitting in bed. Now, me and my wife, she would do, she had a kickboxing school that she went to. So we would go to our training in the morning. and usually like just pass at the house because like then I would get a haircut, do my errands, she would do her errands, maybe she'd go shop, whatever. But we were just like crossing. I was sitting there waiting, and I didn't take a shower yet to get ready to go to my haircut that I was every Saturday I get after school, after class.
After school.
After school. And then and I told her, I'm like, hey babe, I'm come upstairs, I'm having that same feeling. And she's like, let's sit here for a minute. And then she says, why don't we go to the hospital?
Yeah.
So she'll tell you, she saved my life. She's over there. I know. She's like, she did convince me to go. If I wouldn't have gone, could have happened again at a bad time.
It probably would have gotten worse.
We drove up. I went in, and
they don't tell you automatically you're having a heart attack, do they?
No. So the first thing they do, they take an EKG right away. First of all, you're going in quick. As soon as it's heart related, you sign in. You tell them you're having chest pains. They're like, come right in. Yeah. Open the door. Get your name like on the floor. There, if you're filling out the information, you're going in quick. If you get, your arm could be falling off, and they're gonna, my arm's cut off, or you can come in with your arm in a bag of ice, and they're gonna take the guy with the heart attack before you.
You got it on ice. So
the engine's the engine of this vehicle that's walking in is about to freaking stall. Like, we don't want him on the floor. Like, get him in.
Yeah.
Do an EKG. There was like one nurse EKG. He goes out, comes back with somebody. They read the EKG. You can see that there's something wrong. They go out, they come in with like a third person. I think it was a doctor at that point. And they were like, all right, so they show you're having an incident. I've told you, right, this is the EKG from that moment.
Oh,
this
really?
Is it. Yeah.
That's
this
cool,
little dip, these dips right here, or where it should be flush with this line.
Yeah.
That dip was the indication that there was a problem, something's going on. I couldn't, the sinus rhythm, whatever it was. I barely paid attention. I was just like, tell me where I gotta go.
Now you got it from memory.
I got two things that will never change. I love jiu-jitsu, and I had a heart attack. Things that you can't take away from me. I got the Puerto Rican flag. Can't take these things away from me, right?
Puerto Rican too. Yeah.
So, they never use the word heart attack. So the third person comes in, she's like, oh, we're going to take you over. We called an ambulance. They're going to take you over to the cardiac unit. I'm in good spirit. I'm just like this. I'm just sitting there, maybe even cracking a joke or two. The ambulance comes, the EMTs come in. I think kind of walked out to the ambulance, and then they put me in the gurney. Like, it wasn't bad. Maybe they put me in the gurney. I don't remember that part. But I get into the back. They're like flying, and they're flying like lights on, woo, like we're not stopping for anything. But you're in the back, I'm like, I can feel us going over like the train tracks and shit. I'm just like, what the hell's going on? And they tell me, they're like, what did they tell you is going on? And I said, I don't know, EKG. I'm like, he's like, I believe because they saw me in good spirits. Maybe it's the part of their protocol, and they would tell me.
Yeah.
But they're the first ones to say heart attack.
When you're on the way to the other place.
Yeah, they're like, you're having a heart attack, or you had. I don't remember exactly the tense that they use, but they tell me about the heart attack, and I'm like, again, I'm in good spirits. I'm even joking around with them. It's not like like it's not what you see on TV. Like this is why people die from it though, because it's happened a bunch, but they didn't realize it.
Yeah, it's like a widowmaker, right? When
in
it's like
tune.
That?
Well, the main artery when it's completely blocked is the widowmaker. It's like you don't come back from it. I'm 80% blocked. I've heard people be like, yeah, I was 90% blocked on the main artery. That's the widowmaker, where it's just like usually you die. You don't if you're not checking. If they're not checking you for it, you don't know that it's your arteries are clogged, right?
You just feel like discomfort.
They tell me in the ambulance that you're having a heart attack, and I guess I made the joke that they don't tell you you're having a heart attack because they don't want you to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
They don't want you to be like, what's going on, right? So, you're all hooked up to the things. They bring me into Broward Medical in Fort Lauderdale. They bring me right to the unit where they're going to go in with the stents.
Yeah.
And it's like immediate. You're on the gurney. They get you ready. They come over. They shave your leg because they're going in through the artery. The doctor comes in. She asks me like 2 questions. I think she asked me my name, and she asked me. I've talked about this, so I don't mind talking about it. So she goes, Milton? Yeah. She's just like, you ever taken steroids? I said, yeah, in my 30s. And she's like, And then basically, like, they put you out. They don't put you totally out. So like you're kind of, they don't want the heart rate to drop so much. So you're kind of out, and you're groggy, like if you were drunk and passing out.
Yeah.
So I could, like, once they go in, there's 2 screens above me that she's working on. It looks like there's like a little snake going through. See it. There were 2 screens above me, and I could see this little thing going around my heart and everything. Yeah. Oof. So you're like somewhat conscious, but like halfway out.
I would have a heart attack seeing that.
You know, like I said, man, I was just like, I didn't, you know, okay, you having a heart, like, this is a heart attack? Like, it wasn't like what you see on TV. Oh my God, he's having a heart attack.
Somebody your chest, falling around.
Compressions, right? None of that. So it was different. But I think this is, again, why people miss it, because they're just like, oh man, again, not making a joke. Thought I had to take a shit. Both times. You get like, am I constipated?
Yeah.
That feeling of being backed up. And like, I'm getting pressure and like, cause it was like pressure that radiated from like my diaphragm to my chest. The whole arm thing, complete bullshit too.
Yeah. You were looking for those signs.
The first day, it's just, I forget which arm it was. Whatever arm is supposed to be the one.
Dude, I freak out whenever my arm is like
complete bullshit on like it's one arm or the other, that whole thing. I forget if it's like the right arm, but like the first day, whatever arm is the one that's supposed to be the one, like if you have pain here, you're having a heart attack.
Yeah.
It was like the other arm, but only like the chest and the arm. The next day, I remember it being from like elbow to elbow, where I could feel it in the muscles, like, you know, when you've worked out and you're like.
And then you went to training, so you're probably like, oh, I'm sore and shit.
You know, that whole feeling, it just felt like training. And, you know, it wound up being, you know, the heart, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, 8 years later.
Oh, but you're good though.
8 years later.
We got 5 minutes left. Is there like anything that you want to?
No, you know, hey, check us out at the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast. We had you on. We had a great episode.
It was a great episode.
You know, my passion right now is Academy Safe. If you can't,
but you're also doing a bunch of other stuff. You're like, people that don't know, whenever your name is mentioned, it's always like you're helping them out with something, which is crazy.
I hope so, man. I want to be that guy.
Yeah. I've had people that I've interviewed here. I think the Beach Jiu-Jitsu people were like, Milton's helping us, and there's been other people that have mentioned that you're helping them out with other stuff. And so people that don't know, you're doing all this stuff, but you're always helping other people in the community with their projects.
I appreciate you saying that. Definitely. If I can help somebody with something and it doesn't cost me, like if somebody came to me for money, that's one thing. But when somebody's just like, hey, looking for advice, I'm like, you know, we did the Joe Scargill's like logo and his presentation that he goes when he does speaking.
Dude. I had him on the virtual. You did the background?
Yeah, I even told him like, hey, use the other version because then you can see it all behind you versus the one. Like if I've done it and I can give you advice, I'm all about that.
Yeah.
So we've done that with a few people. Even done that with guests. We did that. You know George Piro?
No.
George Piro, the guy that interviewed Saddam Hussein after they found him in the hole. George Piro went to, like, they flew him overseas, and he's the guy that interviewed him for like 4 months. We were going to work with, he's now supposed to be like the UFC's PED czar.
Really?
There's not a lot of public information about it. I think he actually took the position because he clipped his IG, it's gone. But when we were going to do some stuff with him before the UFC got their hands on him, and same thing, you know, he was just like, hey man, you know, I do this presentation. I'm like, send me the presentation. Tell me what it looks like. It was like awful. And we did. So we redid it. We redid it from PowerPoint. But I just give it to my designer, send this out. You know, they've come on the podcast. They've, you know, driven out or come at their, like, hey man, if I can help with something, I want to help.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I've probably gotten out of the community is when your name is mentioned, it's always in a good light. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say anything bad. About you,
if they have, let me know their name.
You do it.
Like Academy Safe is my passion project. I've told people I believe. Like I'm not very religious, and that, you know, I'm not that spiritual universe guy, right? I feel like this is why I found jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
I'm now realizing with Academy Safe and what's gone on and what I've seen personally, it's like, oh, this is what this whole 10 years has been about.
Yeah.
Not just making me better or, you know, it's been my, like we all say, it's therapy. It has been my therapy when I've needed it. But I feel like the Academy Safe is the reason that I found this.
Yeah, kind of gave you like a person to give back to the community, like a purpose.
Bro, I do not, I'm just going to say, I do not have to do this. Like when nobody's getting paid. I'm paying for everything out of pocket other than the little bit of money we get in donations and memberships. Yeah, that goes into the business. I still give it money. My marketing company is only when we can gets paid its cost of like a product that we bought for it or a software that we're using. So like I'm doing this myself. And I only say that to say like, that's how passionate I am about it. Like I want to clean this shit up.
Yeah.
And look, we're not going to get everybody. And there's going to come a time where an accredited academy, something happens. We know that's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're not oblivious to the fact that we can't be watching everywhere. We can't be everywhere watching everybody and looking to see if anybody's doing. And a background check's not going to stop some idiot from doing something stupid.
Right.
But if we could put a little bit of a barrier in front of them, a roadblock to them doing something stupid, or when that person knows that they're bad, and they go to an academy and they're like, we do background checks. And he's like, oh shit, no, let me go someplace. Like, if we start to do that and everybody buys into that this is a good idea, then we would have accomplished this. Yeah. But again, it is what I believe that I want to do for a very, like, if, I'm in my 50s, if I was to retire, I want this to be the thing that I continue doing.
Retirement project.
So, I mean, again, I want to be training jiu-jitsu as long as I can. And I want to be doing Academy Safe until we don't have to do it anymore.
I think that Academy Safe is important, man. I think when we had your episode on, when I had my episode with you and Jiu-Jitsu Dummies, I think the most of the time we spent was talking about Academy Safe. Yeah. Because I think that's very important, that what you're doing is very important for the community, especially if we want to keep the community that we like safe.
Yeah.
It's important. Nobody's doing it.
There, other people have said this. I try not to say this line, but, people say, if anybody argues against this, what are they hiding?
Yeah.
I try not to say that, but I get that said to me a lot, and I'm like,
that's true. But it's true, because if you have somebody that's arguing against implementing it, it's not. What could be their counter argument? That it's expensive. It's not. You know what I mean? What are they?
No, I mean, even the guys that came to me and said, I really want to do this. How can we? They didn't just say like, I want to do it. Like, I know I'm not going to be able to do it. They were like, I want to do this. How can we do this? I have this problem. Yeah. Can we get around this? Do you guys have a workaround to this? It happened so long ago. I was a kid still. Yeah. I was 20. I was 19. Maybe we figure something out right now as a new organization. That's exactly what we're looking for, is like, I don't want to call them bad apples, but if I have a choice over this guy over here that passed the background check and his entire staff, or the guy that was convicted of a felony, assault, with extenuating circumstances, whatever they are, I'm probably going to go with this crew over here that's passed everything. And it just has to be that. And we want to give people that option. Look, we're not going to close you down because you can't pass a background check. Right. But we're certainly going to make the decision-making process for the mom who doesn't know the difference between karate and jiu-jitsu, right, is just looking to get little Johnny into something, right? For that person that doesn't know any better, we've all, as jiu-jitsu practitioners, somebody has come to us and be like, hey man, I was going to get my son into jiu-jitsu. Where should I go? Right? Mm-hmm. People ask you all the time, right?
Me last week.
All the time. I want, when we build up this database big enough, I want you to say, hey, look, I either know a place and they're good people, or I don't know anybody in your area. Go on academysafe.org and look for an academy there. Great, that's the best advice that I can give you. Which is great. And as this builds, that would make me feel, I'm getting chills over here. Yeah. That would it could be like mission accomplished. Yeah, it could be freezing in here. To me, that would almost be like a mission accomplished for us. It's like when we have gyms, accredited gyms in every corner of the U.S. And again, we're doing Canada, same cost. Yeah. So we're doing all of North America right now. Rob wants to do this worldwide.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It would be great to do it worldwide. I figure it's like North America first, English-speaking countries second. Sure. And then we just have to be able to get the background checks done there. Yeah. Doing them from here for there is super expensive. But if we have a company that we can work with, they could still do the U.S. Center for Safe Sport certification, because it's just like what to watch out for. Right. So maybe they have a version of it, but they could do everything else that we do with us.
Online, right? Everything's connected.
Yeah. So that's that. If the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast, check us out. But Academy Safe is what I'm passionate about. And if you own a business, any business, jiu-jitsu or otherwise, check us out at Black Belt Digital Marketing on Instagram is probably the best way to start, or bbdigitalmarketing.com. That business is what's given me the ability to do these other things. Yeah. It's the money that I make from there that I'm able to invest in Academy Safe to make this happen. So any support, if you got a business and you want to support us and you don't believe in Academy Safe, or you don't know anybody who, check us out. We work with all businesses, not just MMA academies. I do doctors, dentists, attorneys, power washers. Like, if you're looking for local business, Black Belt Digital Marketing can help you.
That's great, man. We did an hour.
All right, brother.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you asking.
That's great.